Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Founder Stories by Teamwave. And our today's guest is Regan, who is the founder and CEO of Social Effect. Social Effect helps B2B companies connect with their ideal prospects in a better way. Now we will hear from Regan how his journey started as an entrepreneur.
To say, but it's probably started in 1990. You know, I'm a New Zealander.
Yeah.
I'm a New Zealander. I was in Australia. I met an English girl who was going back to England to do a master's. So I followed her to England. In England, I got involved in, I didn't know what I was going to do. I got involved in IT recruitment in the 90s, which was it was a special time for IT because that's when Windows first came out. So, I mean, this is the story. And it's almost, if I focus on a 10-year period, it doesn't make sense because the journey starts. I come to the UK, I get involved in IT recruitment. Windows has just coming out. I become a commission-only IT recruiter. So I'm basically selling. But then the internet comes. And in the mid-90s, the internet came. My boss got a PC with the internet, dial up, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, wow, this is oh my God. We were spending tens of thousands of pounds advertising in computer magazines for candidates. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's something called job boards, online job boards. And he was like, no, we keep on advertising in magazines. I'm going, no, this internet thing is going to be big. So I really push him towards the internet. And then, a year or two later, everything is about the internet. We were literally at fax machines, faxing off CVs, fax, CV,
yeah.
Must interview this candidate. And so I just love the internet. So around 2000, I was like, do you know what? We do so much stuff that's searching through databases, searching through online CV databases. We've got to reformat a CV before we send it. We've got to do, we've got to screen hundreds of CVs per day. And I said to my boss, I said, look, we're recruiters, our core skill, the one we're hired for is basically selling, really. But we spend all this time doing this other stuff that takes us away from our core skill. I said, why don't I go out to India? Because I'd placed loads of Indian IT contractors. And one of them had said to me once, you can do anything from India, Regan, anything. And I just went, one day, why am I spending hours searching through CVs or screening CVs? So I said to my boss, why don't I go to India? So I wanted to go to India, really. And why don't I just kind of explore the idea of setting up so we can outsource these functions to India? That was the year 2000. And the dot-com bubble was bursting. I went to India, I went to Delhi. We had 3 people in Delhi who were doing the kind of the CV stuff, all the kind of the administration job within recruitment. I came back to the UK, had 2 months in Delhi, thoroughly loved it. I love traveling. And I went and we started doing it, but it didn't really work. It just wasn't, the CVs weren't right. It wasn't really working. But the dot-com bubble burst. And so we were being, offered, salary cuts and all that kind of stuff. And I went, do you know what? No, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to set up a company in India. I'm going to get one of the guys that I work with in the UK to go and sit in India and train people how to do it. So in 2001, we set up a company called OS2I, which stood for Outsource to India. And it was the first offshore recruitment process outsourcing business in the world. So basically, we grew that from literally a little shop, with 5 desks to 190 people. And we're working with the largest IT recruitment agencies in the world, the largest technology companies who had in-house recruiters. And we ended up doing so many things we started out doing basic CV searching and CV screening and that kind of stuff. We ended up doing, a lot of research, headhunt research, background checks using phones and fax machines. So so we grew that to that level of, of staff. I had the most fantastic, 9 years living in India, off and on, 2 kids in India, 2 kids at school in India. I just thoroughly loved it. But and then 2008 came, 2008 and 2009 was a disaster, financial crisis. 2 of our biggest clients were Lehman's, and we all know what happened to Lehman's Bank. And there was a big retailer in the UK called Woolworths. and they both went under, owing us a lot of money. And 2 years earlier, a larger Indian outsourcing company made me an offer for the business, which I kind of turned down. And then 2008-9 came, and trading was very difficult. The first thing in a recession you stop doing is hiring. So the need for our service diminished like that. So I went back to the company that wanted to buy us a year earlier, on my knees, going, please, please. So I ended up selling OS2I for not very much money to the company who wanted to buy me previously. They were a BPO offering, multiple services. They wanted to add in their recruitment process outsourcing capability. So 2009, I kind of, got rid of that business. The main thing for me was to make sure that the staff that I had, and at the time I had 100, were, could go somewhere and be gainfully employed. So it was a great journey that didn't end so well. But around that time, 2009, 2010, I was getting really heavily involved in social media. A lot of the recruitment research was done on LinkedIn. And I was going, right, what business do I start now? I was going, right, LinkedIn's amazing. It's this amazing database. You can communicate with people on LinkedIn using multiple methods. And then I had an idea for a business. I went, why don't I start a B2B social media agency, which specializes primarily, on using LinkedIn to get in front of your target audience. So I started what's now called the Social Effect, around that time. So, 2010, 11. And then I was basically, 3 or 4 small clients, doing a lot of experimentation. I was still using a little team in India to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So, we would design a campaign, do the targeting, and we get the messaging done from India. So I started that. And then one Sunday, I'm having a lunch. I live in the south of France. I'm having a lunch, and there's a guy at the table goes, what do you do? I said, I've got this little B2B social media thing going on. And I said, what do you do? He goes, well, I run a marketing agency in London, 60 people. We specialize in technology. We're not doing anything in social media. He said, come and see me. So I went to see him, and he was like, Regan, look at this email. This email is from IBM. And IBM is saying, unless these guys start doing social media, we can't work with them. He said, can you help me? I'm like, yeah, I can help. So, so basically this marketing agency introduced me to their clients. They own the client relationship. We delivered the work. And so all of a sudden we're working with, massive technology companies. And now I'm learning, the kind of the quality that you need to provide to these kind of companies. Every dot on every I, every T is crossed. They love reports. They love the analysis. If you say you're going to deliver something at this particular time, it's delivered 5 minutes early. You make promises, you keep those promises. So, he taught me an amazing amount. And because he propelled us into these clients, I started hiring. And I started hiring where I'm living in France. And I think we had 5 or 6 staff. But then one day I went, you know what? I'm paying, France is an expensive country to employ people. Employment law is ludicrous. Taxes are really high. And I'd asked a friend, I needed to find someone who understood B2B and understood Excel for pivot tables and all that ludicrous kind of advanced Excel stuff. And I didn't want to hire that person in France. So I spoke to a friend who had a business in Cape Town in B2B, kind of doing something similar. And he said to me, look, someone's just left who's really good. You should speak to her. So 6 years ago, I spoke to this amazing girl who's still with us, lady woman called Elisa. And so she joined the Social Effect 6 years ago. And after 6 months of working with her remotely, she's in Cape Town, I'm in Europe. I went, you know what, this is amazing. I should be looking at building an office in Cape Town. So the Social Effect over 10 years has grown into a digital marketing agency. We do things like, we specialize in paid media for B2B. We specialize in conversion rate optimization. We build online communities for B2B technology companies. So that's, and I've grown the Social Effect in Cape Town to 30 people. Our clients are all around all around the world, primarily in Europe and North America. And, I've really found something that I'm so deeply passionate about. I was a pretty good recruiter, but I never really liked it. I never liked it because, the candidates don't really like recruiters. Clients don't like being bothered by recruiters. So I was always feeling that, people weren't loving what I was doing. But the money was good and it was great for a career. But during OS2I, I just found the marketing, the sales and marketing part of what I was doing was what I loved. So the Social Effect, is a digital marketing agency specializing in technology companies. And it's, marketing is moving so quickly that you never got to know enough. So it's so humbling. It's so humbling that, I've always been a kind of person who's always dissatisfied with what I've just done. What could have I done better? What didn't I know? What have I learned? And with marketing and marketing technology and all the, the constant changes to it, you've got to keep on running to keep up to date with it. So, I'm so glad, in my 40s, I found something which, was just my calling. Sometimes I look back and go, I spent 20 years doing something that I was good at, but didn't really love. And I spent 10 years doing something that I really love and I'm getting better at. And it's a passion business. It's humbling. And I feel very lucky to be where I am.
Great. That was very amazing. And I was like, it was a very beautiful story. The way you told about how you started off and how you made that switch. Now, when you look at the B2B marketing area, there are so many agencies. So how do you try to retain your customers?
Yeah, so the game, I call it, so I probably shouldn't. There's two sides to it. There's like winning new logos, winning new clients, and retaining the ones you have. And, as you say, there's a lot of competition. And, when I think about it, we win a client normally from another agency. So they've done something which, the client doesn't like, or they're not really hitting their promises. But in a similar vein, other agencies are trying to get business from us. So it's a kind of a battle. You're always trying to dislodge an existing agency, and other agencies are always trying to dislodge you. So it's something that's constantly evolving. When I look at digital marketing, our perspective is one perspective, and that perspective is everything is about an ROI. Everything is about being able to prove an ROI, and we try and sit outside of average, and not in a way. Every agency who's successful are good at what they do, but it's about our view on marketing, and we need a different view. And look, a lot of companies don't understand that view. But the view that we've got is everything in marketing should be about, increasing your conversion rate and reducing your cost of customer acquisition. And B2B marketing, in B2B marketing, we talk about funnels. It's a sales and marketing funnel. You come in here and you come out the bottom of this funnel. That's a funnel. The marketing sales funnel was invented in 1898. So we're talking that, the marketing funnel is, over 130 years old. So it's dated. We talk about the funnel where someone comes in and they become a, marketing qualified lead. And then they go down the funnel and now they're a sales qualified lead. And now they go through a decision phase and now they buy. So it's almost like they just drop in this wonderful funnel and gravity brings them down to this particular point. It's so easy to see it like that. And that's how the majority of B2B marketers see it. They talk about funnels, they talk about, marketing qualified leads. And I'm just going, this is not how it is. It's not how it is. Gravity doesn't just bring someone down this funnel magically. In the middle of the funnel, and we should really stop using the word funnel, it's mess. It is messy. There are so many different variables. So, I like to call that the messy middle. So instead of using a funnel, there's something that triggers someone, your prospect, to contact you at the top. at the bottom, there's someone has purchased something. In here, it's not gravity, it is messy. Someone needs to, explore, evaluate, and it's just not this natural thing that with gravity brings you down. So our perspective is trying to be slightly disruptive and go, look, the funnel that you're talking about was invented 130 years ago. It's not about gravity. It's about this understanding this very messy middle. And it's how we look at this messy middle, how we approach it with the content and the touch points. It's getting into that messy middle, which brings us to the bottom, which is reducing your customer acquisition cost. So that's a kind of different perspective than 99% of kind of B2B marketers. It's a difficult one to start explaining and articulating. But what I primarily, and our positioning at the moment is about creating a buyer's journey that's much more efficient. That's much more intelligent, with the objective of looking at how can we reduce your cost of acquisition. So it's all about testing and optimization. And I think, as we evolve, and every year we kind of get smarter and more intelligent, we figure out where the bottlenecks are, where the problems are. And the overarching solution to that is test and optimize. And you take learnings, you try and learn rapidly. It's agile marketing. But quite often a client will come to me and go, right, okay, we want a lead, and we're going to pay you this amount of money, and we want this many leads. And we'll go, certainly in the old days, okay, thank you very much. We will go and get you those leads. But what leads normally mean is that someone has downloaded a white paper and put in their email address and their name and that kind of stuff. That's a lead. But so a lot of companies are obsessing about how many leads they get, but the only number that's important to a CFO or a CEO is what comes at the bottom of that. Yeah. What is your customer acquisition cost? How much does it cost me to get a new customer? So I find that in marketing, there's this obsession about marketing qualified leads called MQLs, and we call it the hamster wheel. So you're on this MQL hamster wheel, just running, more leads. And we're trying to go, hey, okay, look, you do need leads at the top of the funnel, if you want to call it a funnel, but let's focus on the bottom. How are we going to reduce your customer acquisition costs? So that's our perspective. I don't think we are fully there in how we articulate it. But again, the great thing about marketing is it's constantly evolving. We need to get our messaging with more clarity and articulate it better so it's easy to understand. So it's, we're on this kind of hamster wheel to try and evolve to get our message across.
Great. So you focus on even the conversion part, like how many leads we get and how many get converted as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, it's actually, I've got a lot of clients working for a lot of people who work for great companies, and they are coming to us. I mean, very big technology companies, and they're coming to us still and saying, hey, we need leads. And we're going, okay, look, we'll do that. We'll do that. But really what we want to be doing is focusing on the bottom part of the funnel. And it's quite shocking to me that, a lot of technology companies spend, millions and millions, but their focus on ads, particularly, or on marketing initiatives with this top focus, if you improve a conversion rate from a marketing qualified lead to a sales accepted lead or to an opportunity by 2%, you're increasing revenue by 10%. If you increase the conversion rate between a sales accepted lead and an opportunity and a close rate by 5%, you've literally added, I'm not going to do the math. This isn't going to be accurate, but you're literally adding, multiple zeros to their revenue. So I'm kind of like, I will take the project if someone wants the top of the funnel, but really we want to be dealing with a certain type of client who's going, right, do you know what? Ultimately, I'm responsible for revenue generation. So it's the lower parts of the funnel. There you go. I said it again. that, you know, that we want to specialize much more on.
Yeah, that's actually great, because many marketing agencies don't focus on that particular part. They talk about we would generate leads, or we would help you generate the upper part of the funnel, but they don't never talk about that conversion part.
Yeah, and you know, without a doubt, you know, and we've got some B2B's got some amazing examples in B2C to look at. You know, if you take, you know, Amazon, for example, you know, we all talk about Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of testing and optimization that they have done over the last 2 decades is crazy. It's crazy, but it's, you know, it's so slick. It's so slick. You know, so we can look at the way that amazing B2C companies in e-commerce do it, and in SaaS businesses, more and more B2B SaaS businesses, you know, have got this Amazon mindset. You know, when someone clicks on an ad, where do they land? Oh, this page is going to resonate to the ad. So it's called ad to page matching. Is the value proposition resonating? The most important thing when you hit a landing page is the value proposition. You know, and I talk about, you know, there's a great cartoon. It's kind of badly done, but it's a saying. You know, I'll bring the horse to water, but will the horse drink? And this cartoon is like, there's a guy leading a horse to water. The horse is leaning down going, nah, nope, I'm not drinking. So and Amazon has got amazing at making us, when we go somewhere, we go, I'm drinking that water. I've got it right. So we can take a lot of, you know, B2C examples, more and more within B2B SaaS companies. Their marketing is, you know, very slick. We specialize primarily in the enterprise technology space. So we're talking about clients of, you know, employ, you know, 10,000 to 200, 300,000 people. And when you start talking about lower down the funnel conversion rate optimization, that is not really used to that. So yeah, it's all about the conversion. And, you know, if you can get the lower part of the funnel right, you know, you'll really make a serious impact on revenue.
Yeah, exactly. You shifted from being a recruiter to this starting your own company, right? So how difficult was that? Like you had to leave one part you were doing for so long, and then you had to make this move. So how difficult was that shift?
That's a very good question. It was difficult in ways, but there are a lot of similarities as well. You know, I mean, I loved sales and marketing. That was always, I'm the selling and marketing CEO. So that's one thing. The other thing is I'd spent 20 years in IT recruitment. So I understood technology. So, you know, when we talked on a kind of technical basis, I understood it, which meant I could understand our clients and potential clients. I could understand their clients. So there's a technology company that's got some special technology. They want to target these people. So I'd understand the technology, first of all, so I'm getting it. And then because I understand the technology, I can understand them. So there were similarities. And I think when I started, I had no idea about how much I didn't know. But what I realized that what a lot of people don't know. So, you know, sometimes I was in meetings going, I wonder if I should ask a question because I don't understand that. And early on, I didn't ask the questions. I didn't ask because I didn't want to look silly. You know, kind of later on, I realized that, you know, if I'm going to really learn, I'm going to have to put my hand up. So it was hard in some ways because I'm in a world surrounded by people who know more than me in certain areas. You know, I just made sure that what I did know, I knew better than someone else. And then just kept on that wheel to learn as much as I could, as fast as I could. And, you know, 10 years down the track, you know, I mean, I've learned so much. You know, we've constantly got, you know, we've all got, our company's got a really cool, you know, digital marketing training platform that we use. And everyone's about like, you know, are you certified in this? Have you passed that course? So we are, you know, we really push understanding the theory. And then with clients, hopefully we can turn that theory into practice. But it's, you know, what if someone said 10 years ago what I would have had to have gone through to get to this point, would have I done it? Absolutely. The learning journey is what I love the most.
And when talking about that, was there something that you regret you had done means 10 years back, like which you might have knowledge right now, but you regret that I could have done it in the initial stage itself?
10, well, I mean, yes, because I look back and go, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. I was talking to someone the other day about the fact that I've got a dissatisfied personality. As in, I'll do something, and I'll look back and go, do you know what? I could have done that better. Or what if I had done that? What if we explored that? So, but I think people who've got a dissatisfied kind of personality in a way progress better, because they are always going, what could have I done better? So look, I look back in the last 10 years and I go, have I got, big regrets? The answer is no. But, I regret a project that I delivered last week because there were things that I should have done better, so no big regrets, but this dissatisfied personality of mine, and I've got, a team around me, and there's two types of people who are dissatisfied that always want to do better, and people who are satisfied. Generally, I find the people who are dissatisfied go further.
Yeah, because they have that drive inside them to, that curiosity, I guess, that I could have done better, I should learn more. So maybe that drives them forward.
Look, yeah, true, and that's absolutely the case. I mean, sometimes you need to, slap yourself in the back and go, well done, actually. But normally that's got to come from other people, and there's nothing better than a client to go, I love client engagements where they go, so we're in B2B, 5 years ago, if you talked about Facebook and B2B, people are like, no way. Facebook is for family and friends. It's not a business platform. And, 5 years ago, I went, do you know what? I had 6 people around a table. I'm pitching, a program, a marketing program. And I go, look, I've done audience research, and your audience spends more time on Facebook, so we should be doing Facebook. And they're like, oh, I'm not convinced about that. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I went, right, okay. Put up your right hand if you've been on LinkedIn this week. So let's say it's a Thursday. 2 hands go up. Put up your right hand if you've been on Facebook this week. All the hands go up. And I go, right, okay. Everyone at this table has been on Facebook this week, probably multiple times, and only 15 or 20% of you have been on LinkedIn. Facebook is where we go. We need to put these ads in front of people where they go. And they're like, oh, I'm not convinced. I said, look, and then I went, look, unless we do use Facebook as well as LinkedIn, I'm not going to do this program. But, we'll test it. We have $1,000 in ads that we put on LinkedIn and $1,000 in ads on Facebook. So we're just going to test with $1,000. At the end of the day, the results will prove us right or wrong. And I think the testimonial I got from that client was, Regan, I'm so glad that you pushed us towards Facebook. Yes, we were totally unsure about it. And it's those kind of clients who go, actually, you had to convince me, but I'm glad you did. Thank you very much. That's the slap on the back, just a short one, a small one, that someone who's got this dissatisfied kind of nature kind of goes, okay, let's go to the next one and let's do better.
During this pandemic time, so many companies were cutting down on the marketing costs. So did that affect the social effect in any way?
Yes, yeah. So we specialized in 2 markets. And, again, it's about the entrepreneur taking the punches, punch. So 3 or 4 years ago, we had 2 kind of clients, either B2B technology companies, big technology companies, or we had B2B event organizers. So event organizers and technology companies. And 3 or 4 years ago, I went, do you know what? I need to pick one of those. I need to really specialize in one. And, if we work, for example, with Microsoft, we're going to be this tiny little cog in this big marketing machine, insignificant, a little dust, a little speck of sand on a beach. And, I'm never going to sit down with the Microsoft CMO and talk to them about marketing strategy. It's never going to happen. Whereas with B2B events, I'm sitting down with the owner. I'm sitting down with the CMO or the marketing director, and I'm having a real conversation. We're over the table. We're exploring, the impact I make is known. At the end of the day, you help promote an event, and last year was 1,000 attendees. This year it's 2,000. It's like, oh my God, there's a real impact. So that was the difference. So I was like, do you know what? We're not going to stop working with our B2B technology companies, but let's really market ourselves as the B2B marketing agency who works with event organizers. Now, as we're positioning that side of the business, we're kind of moving from being, both to one. Our tagline was from first click to venue door. So all the marketing in between that, we were, kind of having an impact on. But as we were picking events, I went, you know what? If there's a recession, because I'm 50 and I've been caught in 2 recessions. The dot-com bubble was kind of a recession. 2008-9 was a recession. So I'm always going, oh, recession. My wife is going, Regan, what about the recession? But I knew when I positioned for B2B events that if a recession came, one of the things you're going to cut is going to be events. If I'm a company, I'm not going to spend, 10 to 100,000 on a big stand at a trade show. I'm not going to send, everyone on a plane to go somewhere for it. So I knew that if there's a recession, specializing in B2B events wouldn't be great. So in the back of my mind, I'm always going, hey, it's great positioning to specialize in a smaller market. And I think we were one of 5 agencies. We'll be the top 5 in the world specializing in events. And that because you're competing against the same agencies. So it's always about jostling with the same agencies. Use me because we do this and they don't do that. But I was aware of it. So in February 2020, I was at an event for events people. So I'm at a dinner. There's like 15 tables. I'm at a table of 10 people. The people on my table, I had a couple of clients on my table, but everyone is running events companies. And I said to the woman beside me, I said, so this COVID thing, what do you think? Storm in a teacup, 6 months time, be back to normal. Don't worry about it. We're fine. We'll be good. Obviously then March came and we went, oh my God, this is serious, isn't it? And so we had all these projects going, taking phone calls, sorry, need to stop, postpone, stop. So I went, oh, here we go again. It's that it wasn't a recession then, it was a pandemic. Who would have ever guessed, other than Bill Gates? So we're going, oh no, what are we going to do? So we went, right, entrepreneur, you take the punches. You're right. What we're going to do, we will pivot because everyone now is doing virtual events. So let's focus on helping companies market virtual events. So we created an acronym and a methodology called MOVE, Marketing Optimization for Virtual Events. So we thought this was amazing. The world's just going to love this. The methodology was brilliant. We even had an acronym for it. Yay. So we started marketing to the world. Hey, this thing called MOVE is going to transform the way that you'll market your events. Didn't really work. So we spent 3 or 4 months talking about MOVE to the world. And look, event organizers were, in desperate trouble. They were in trouble. Do they want to use an agency? No. Big companies were, doing it themselves. They didn't want to spend on using an agency to market a virtual event or a webinar. But we were lucky because we had this core technology client base who all of a sudden weren't spending money on events. They probably had a budget of, let's say, take a number out of the sky, of $200,000 that they were going to spend in 2020 sponsoring events, exhibiting at events. So all of a sudden, these budgets came back to them. So they're going, right, Regan or my team, what can we do with this? So they were all about demand. It's all digital now. It's all digital. Virtual events haven't worked wonderfully. So we had a number of solutions that we could offer them that they weren't getting anywhere else. So, we build online communities and, communities are like this new buzzword. Look, we're all at home. How do we get our prospects, into a community that they are going to, thrive in, that they're going to engage in? And we've been building communities for 10 years. So all of a sudden we're getting calls. Look, we've got 2 communities. We'd like to try this in North America and Asia Pac. So we had solutions which we were using for events and in B2B technology. Then all of a sudden, with the kind of the more budgets coming in because events were cancelled, we just went, right, we are focusing on B2B technology. So the pandemic affected us. In 2019, we had our best year. In 2020, we were 20% down on what we did in 2019. In 2021, we will, who knows where it will go. We predict that we will probably get to where we were in 2019. So the pandemic, was pretty harrowing. But look, all around me, there are people who have really suffered. My wife works for an airline. She was made redundant. A lot of people I know have really, really suffered. We were very quick to pivot. We're in digital. Everything's gone to digital. So, even though we're 20% down on 2019, I feel very lucky, where we're at. And I've got a lot of gratitude, for the market that we're in.
Yeah, it's been great, actually, the way you thought about how to move and like you thought about how the events would work and a better strategy of how to make the marketing part of events successful. Great that you decided to pivot at the right time.
Yeah, but it didn't work initially. And that's the thing, when we've got a culture of, test and learn, test and optimize. And, look, events are coming back. Events are coming back. One of our biggest events clients, who's the biggest trade show company in the world, we're waiting for a PO for their first event, so we will get back into events. But no, we were lucky.
Well, so the marketing channels that you focus on, right? Do you have any particular channels that you focus on, the B2B industries or B2B companies?
What, sorry, on channels? Which
yeah,
channels,
the marketing channels. Yeah, the marketing channels. Like, do you focus on any particular channel?
Well, yes is the answer. Look, we are LinkedIn specialists. We started 10 years ago with this LinkedIn specialism that was a hangover from the work we're doing in India for IT recruitment research and recruiter research. So probably out of the 30 staff we've got, probably 10 of them are deeply involved with LinkedIn. So, but going back to my example of, do you use Facebook? What we try and do is, from a skill set, yes, we're great at LinkedIn, but we've got a team of paid media specialists who are good at, Google Ads, PPC, good at Facebook, etc. But, what we always try and do is we go, right, where does your audience go? What are they doing? Are people searching for this? And if they're searching for it, then we need to have a PPC strategy. We've got to have that. Targeting on LinkedIn is phenomenal, which is why it's great if you're targeting a small audience. But what we try and do is we try and go, right, let's walk in the shoes of our customers. Where are they? What are they doing? What are they thinking? And so primarily, first of all, we'll analyze that. But to answer your question, if it's anything to do with LinkedIn ads or social selling or building communities, it's in my DNA.
And any business book that you would recommend to the entrepreneurs?
Oh my God, I am an avid reader. It's ridiculous. I don't finish them all. Look, I didn't even prepare this. You'll laugh. Okay, talking of LinkedIn, here is one here. Here is one here. Okay.
Great.
But this one is all about positioning.
Okay.
I love, going back to bring the horse to water or the horse drink. It's all about positioning and value propositions. But I've literally got some behind me, probably the last 3 months, maybe 10 different books, from deep marketing psychology. But this is probably one of the best books I've ever read in marketing. It's a very hard read, Think Fast and Slow, which is about, human psychology, how the brain works. And, in marketing, it's about figuring out your customers, or my clients, potential clients, and how they're thinking. So Thinking Fast and Slow is about human psychology, which to me is at the heart of great marketing. that I won't bore you with all the others. And believe me, once a week there's an Amazon book delivery. I'm old school. I've lost my Kindle. I like building that bookcase. And talking of books, wow, I've got a bookcase that shows my journey over 30 years, and it would literally, how to be a great recruiter, going to, how do you sell, to accounting, when I need to figure out accounting, to, how do you be a CEO? And you can just literally go through my bookcase and go, right, the last 30 years, you've had to learn this and learn that and learn this. And but now my reading is primarily, about psychology and human psychology and how that's applied to marketing.
Great. So the bookcase literally shows your transformation, like how you moved from.
India was, as you know, it's an amazing place to buy books.
Yeah.
On the road.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Wow.
There are sales. 15, yeah. We have sales 20, going on.
It's amazing. It was crazy how many books I brought back from India. It was just crazy. Oh, that one, brilliant.
And any productivity hack that you have, like, to stay productive throughout the day?
Yeah, look, at the moment I've got a tab organizer, which, I get tired. I love advertising because I go, how do you save 4 hours a week? And there was a tab organizer that I is quite expensive. A tab organizer, which so for example, I live in Chrome, and you just got to think about your browser, all the tabs, how many tabs you got, what do you do with them? You can't keep them there, so eventually you need to close them and start again. So let's say I've got a project, let's say I'm writing a presentation, I've got three tabs open, Google Slides, different presentations. I'm looking for images to support them. So I would have maybe 15 tabs, and I'll go, right, and I'll just save those tabs and go, right, this is for this kind of proposal. So next time I got a proposal, for the same kind of genre, I'll go back to my tab organizer. I meditate every day because I'm quite hyper. So, meditation to me was transformational. I kind of late last year, I worked with a productivity coach. So, at the start of my week, my month, I've got core goals that I've prioritized in different colors, gold, silver, bronze. I schedule breaks. But, for me, probably for productivity, the number one thing that I started doing 4 or 5 years ago was meditation, and, it's 20 minutes every day. That's the meditation. And then 5 minutes after that is gratitude. And then 5 minutes after, it's a half an hour slot. The last 5 minutes, I'm just working through what I'm doing in this particular day and what I really want to focus on.
We are almost at the end of the podcast. So anything that any message you want to give to the entrepreneurs? Yeah, look,
my wife, she goes, I hate that word, entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is, it's a beautiful thing, but it's a difficult thing, and we're not all cut out for it. That's for sure. It's about taking punches, and sometimes the punches are very hard, and you're like, how am I going to get up from this? So, I think we need to go into being an entrepreneur, aware that it's going to be a tough journey. So you've got to be tough. You've got to be persistent and consistent. But it's always all right. There's that thing about, there's that great cartoon, isn't there? When you started, the journey's like a straight line, but the entrepreneur line is like that. You're going up and going down, up and down, up and down. And when you get up, that there's going to be another down. So it's my entrepreneurial advice would be, be tough. When it's bad, it's never that bad. And if you do all the right things, often you will get to the top, but it's an endless journey.
Okay, thanks a lot. That was very insightful, Regan. And so anything else you think I missed out on, you want to talk about?
No, I've talked a lot.
Yes,
I'm sorry if I've talked too much.
No, not at all.
It's exciting to me, being an entrepreneur and the journey I've been on, it's just, I feel so lucky to have been on it. I've got a lot of gratitude for it. And it's I wouldn't have it any other way. So look, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you think you've got the toughness to do it, I say do it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Regan. That was very inspiring, at the same time very insightful as well. So
look, if anyone wants to connect with me, do it on LinkedIn. And it's linkedin.com/Regan, Regan. Aspiring entrepreneurs, I want to give back as much as I have taken. So if anyone ever wants to talk to me about anything, my door is always open. Sure, definitely. If I know someone who wants some advice, I would surely recommend them as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks a lot, Regan.